Hi, my name is Marcus Richardson and welcome to Social Lit, where we analyze society using literature. Today we're going to use the writings of W.E.B Dubois to analyze people's defense of R.Kelly, Bill Cosby, and others. Recently, we've seen a few high-profile African-American male celebrities brought up on some serious charges and accusations, most noticeably Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, and the late Michael Jackson. Now, if your timeline is anything like mine, after each accusation, there are a few people that defend these celebrities to the bitter end, regardless of testimony, video evidence, any evidence, you name it, they don't believe it. Now, what's interesting is not their denial or refutation of the facts of the case, some of which may be legitimate. What is interesting to me is that for many people, facts simply don't matter. And instead, they'll say things like Cosby is innocent, they're doing this because he's a successful black man who wanted to buy NBC, period, no further discussion needed. And I wondered why that is. Why are some people who are generally good, decent, and intelligent people so opposed to listening to facts? To find an answer, we can turn to the early 20th century sociologist, intellectual, and activist W.E.B Dubois in his seminal work, The Souls of Black Folk, written in 1903 in the chapter entitled Of the Sons of Master and Man. So Du Bois writes the following. The police system of the South was originally designed to keep track of all Negroes, not simply of criminals. And when the Negroes were freed and the whole South was convinced of the impossibility of free Negro labor, the first and almost universal device was to use the courts as a means of re-enslaving the blacks. It was not then a question of crime, but rather a question of color that settled a man's conviction on almost any charge. So Du Bois is saying that immediately following the end of slavery and Reconstruction, the South began a process of re-enslavement through court by locking up a black person for absolutely any offense and then sending them off to work. Now this happened for some time, okay? And recently there was a book published, Slavery by Another Name, that talks about this topic. There's also a really good documentary called The 13th about this. So, because of this new policy of arresting black people for no reason, Du Bois writes, thus Negroes came to look upon courts as instruments of injustice and oppression, and upon those convicted in them as martyrs and victims. And it's still seen today, right? We don't see the courts as a mechanism for justice. The justice system, the police, the courts, the prison industrial complex are all treated with suspicion, as they should be given their history. But, as Du Bois writes, when now the real Negro criminal appeared, and instead of petty stealing and vagrancy, we began to have highway robbery, burglary, murder, and rape, there was a curious effect on both sides of the color line. The Negroes refused to believe the evidence of white witnesses or the fairness of white juries, so that the greatest deterrent to crime, the public opinion of one's own social caste, was lost, and the criminal was looked upon as crucified rather than hanged. So we can understand why some people will refuse and have refused to believe any allegation made against an African American by a white justice system. And I would say that this is less of a defense of the person as it is an indictment of the justice system. And I think I can prove this through a little thought experiment. So pretend you're on your phone and you're scrolling down your timeline and it says, Bill Cosby shot and killed. And you go, wow. So you click on it and you look and you read the article, and it says that there was a woman who accused Bill Cosby of drugging her and sexually assaulting her, and she told her brother. And her brother found Bill Cosby and killed him. Now, had this been the story, most people would say something like, well, he must have done something, right? So why the difference? Well, because the scenario is different, right? The punishment happened extrajudiciously, meaning outside of court, outside of the law, outside of the white justice system, and therefore will actually feel like that's more valid, okay, than going through the court system because of the history of the court system. So in conclusion, is it true that the legal system has and continues to unjustly arrest and sentence black, brown, and poor people as a control mechanism and to feed the imprisoned industrial complex? Yes, that is true. But Does that mean that every single black, brown, or poor person that is accused of or convicted of a crime innocent? No. Okay? So both can be true. You can have an unjust system, but you can also have person of color, poor person, brown person, a poor person that has done something bad and needs to be punished. So it's not an easy thing to deal with. I don't have the answer for it, but I think now we can see why some people are so adamant against facts, right? Like they're just like, no, I don't care what it says, I don't believe it. They probably feel this way because they're aware of the history of the justice system. Therefore, anyone that goes through it is innocent, and as Du Bois said, they are martyrs who are crucified rather than hanged. All right, so that's the first episode of Social Lit. Subscribe and hit the like button and comment and all that good stuff. Share it, etc. And I'll try to come out with these as often as possible. Marcus Richardson, peace, y'all.